Recently, I again found myself on my patio, which is one of my favorite spaces to be, especially in the spring and the fall. There's just something amazing about that space. I take in what's around me. I get to breathe and relax. It's definitely a moment of self-care, and it's a moment of connectedness that I love. So every time you hear me say I was on the patio, just know that I was really enjoying that moment. When I was there the other day, I had been working on my computer and whatnot, and then eventually I just laid my head back. I just wanted to bask in the moment. And so I laid my head back on the chair, and eventually I opened my eyes and I looked up. And there was this beautiful, very large red-tailed hawk. And this red-tailed hawk was just kind of sitting on the updrafts. We have these beautiful large trees, and this breeze was just kind of going up. And so the hawk just kind of rested on the breeze, and it would dip a wing and float this way, and then it would dip a wing and go that way. And it just really kind of sat in this beautiful moment of being lifted and just kind of weightless. It didn't really have to flap its wings. It just got to enjoy being exactly where it was. And it was just so beautiful. And I just love those moments. I love just the small moments that bring a smile to your face, and it's almost like childlike wonder. I think for me, sitting on that patio is as much self-care as drinking tea or going for a walk or spending time in my garden, because I get to breathe. I get to listen to the chimes sing and let go, or watch the whirligigs mesmerize me with their spinning and their playfulness. It's a moment of heaven. It's a beautiful moment of joy, and it just brings this wonderful smile to my face and just happiness to my heart. And in that moment, I had a learning second. And I was reminded of this time this friend of mine asked me, how do you stay happy and joyful all of the time? And my response was, I don't. My sincere belief is that we are not meant to be happy or joyful all of the time. It's very unrealistic to expect that of ourselves or anybody surrounding us. I believe that having joy and happiness and excitement is something, it's a moment to be cherished. It's a moment to hold on and embrace and be so grateful for, and then you let it move on. If we expect to have joy all the time, when do we have the opportunity to share grief or sadness or heartache? You can't, because you're expected to be up. The image of a couple of kids on a teeter-totter comes to mind. They're pretty close to the same weight, and you have this very long board between the two kids, and one of them goes down while the other goes up, and then they switch, and you keep playing. And I don't know if you ever remember being a kid trying to hold the other one up in the air for a while, like you sprawl out and you just tried to balance and keep your friend up in the air, and they would eventually start bouncing around, let me down. And then they would try to do the same thing and keep you up in the air for a really long time. And eventually you wanted to come down. You wanted to feel the earth beneath your feet, because it gets boring being up there all the time. And I think that's very much like our emotions. We would want to come down, and then once we were on the ground, it was fun to be on the ground and solid, and yet you still want to come back up, and you still want to experience that joy of flying and that joy of being up and happy. So our emotions are very much the same. There's this balance that needs to come in. You're always going to feel the highs and the ups, and you're always going to also feel the lows and the downs. And finding that balance, finding that in between, is where we should strive to be and live, so that we can still experience both ends, the ups and downs, and yet we acknowledge that they are moments to be very present in our humanity. I used to experience fantastic highs and the deepest of lows. I remember crying for days, and I didn't really understand why. I didn't understand what was going on, and the best intentions of a friend reaching out to just say, hey, are you okay? And being kind, showing a genuine care for me would just set me off weeping anew, and I could not stop myself. I did not understand what was going on for me. And eventually I would be done with my weeping and my sorrow, and then I would come up and I would be so up and so happy and so excited. And my smile would light up a room, and I was super productive, and I was like, you just needed to hold on tight because you never knew where it was going to go, but you knew we were going to achieve so many things while I was in this moment of exhilaration and really enjoying the up. And then I would be exhausted because I had spent every bit of my energy, and I would come back down, and I would feel a low equivalent to my high. I relished the achievements, and I dreaded the exhaustion and the powerlessness. I remember those days, and I am very grateful now that years later, I have been able to find peace and balance in moments instead. In fact, now I often feel like that soaring hawk where I just get to ride on the wind for a little bit. I just get to take life in and breathe. I get to dip a little and soar to this side, or dip a little, soar to that side. That's not to say I don't have highs and lows. That's not to say that I don't enjoy life and have things that just bring so much joy to me and make me laugh and giggle. And that's not to say that I don't have moments where I am super sad. I now experience them. I relish them. I embrace the humanity that is in those. I had to find help. I had to find understanding. I had to find support. And eventually I found that in a counselor who taught me how to recognize what was happening. He helped me understand the why behind the what. What was I experiencing? And you know what the secret came to be? SelfCare. It came to be ownership of myself and what was going on, and then taking care of myself in that moment, which meant that I needed to own my own shit. It meant that I needed to connect and understand and grant myself compassion. So through his wonderful understanding, help, and support, I was then able to say, oh, I'm starting to feel a little down. What do I need? How can I make this better? What can I give to myself? And it might have meant that I'd go for a walk, or maybe I'd eat a little bit of ice cream because I wanted a sweet treat, or maybe I'd reach out to a friend because I just needed that little boost. I would ask what I needed, and then I would start to give it to myself. And by so doing, my lows were not near as low. And that meant that my highs, while I still enjoyed them, they were not near as high. And that meant that when I came down from them, I was not exhausted, and my lows were no longer so deep and challenging. So I balanced out. I balanced out because I started to check in with myself. I sought support and help and loving guidance. And now I get to soar like that little hawk. I sincerely love the tools that I learned, not only from that counselor, but from the myriad of other people that I have learned from, the myriad of other teachers, the moments, whether they be family or friends or other trusted teachers. It's been amazing. And now I get to hand those tools off to other people who are ready to understand and work and find their own inner compass and their own self-compassion and their own joys. I sincerely hope and pray that you are able to grant yourself permission to experience those highs and grant yourself permission to express those lows. And I sincerely hope that you seek out help if you need a little additional boost. If you need that support, find it whatever it is, whether it's a counselor or a friend or a new teacher, you know you will be drawn. Open that up and seek what it is that you need. Seeking out and finding help is absolutely different for every human being. It runs the gamut. Some of us need professional help, whether it be counseling or medications or more trained help. And others of us are okay with a little bit of additional self-care or a friend to reach out to or your support group, whatever that is and however that looks for you. I highly encourage you to find out what is right for you. Seek that out and then tap into it so that you can live your truest life for you. It's not someone else's life. Nobody else can do it for you. It is literally what is best for you in this moment at this time. Acknowledging the need to ask for help can be terrifying. I think that we're kind of taught that if we ask for help, it means that we're weak. And the problem with that is that those who ask for help turn out to be the strongest. The fact that you are able to say, no, this is about me is huge. The fact that you are able to tune out all of that other white noise from society means that you are actually tuning into yourself. And tuning into yourself is the strongest, bravest thing that you can ever do. Choosing to put yourself first and your needs first is unbelievably brave, strong, and even though you're putting yourself first, I believe that it's unselfish. You're taking care of yourself, and in so doing, that means that you are better able to help the people around you. You cannot help your friends and those around you if you have not taken care of yourself first. A dear friend of mine, years and years and years and years and years ago, I love those Cadbury, the little mini eggs that have the candy coating on the outside and the chocolate on the inside. And one day she came to me and she sat down and she handed me a little snack bag, just the little one, a snack bag of those. And she goes, "Here you go." And I said, "Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you. I really appreciate it." And she said, "You're welcome. I'm sharing to be selfish." She was sharing that much with me so that she could be selfish with the rest of the bag. I love this phrase because I think it is so beautiful and it is so wonderfully illustrating on so many levels. We share ourselves. We share life and energy with ourselves. We take care of ourselves. So we are sharing ourselves while we are being selfish. We are giving our love to everyone around while we are being selfish and taking care of our own needs. It is only by taking care of our own needs, being selfish, that we are able to share with the world. So I encourage you to share and be selfish all at the same time. Be brave, be strong, take care of you because you matter. You are here and only you can live your life. Only you can achieve the things that were meant for you here on this world. Nobody else can live that for you. Nobody else can do that for you. You get to contribute amazing, beautiful things. And what you give and teach and learn and do in life with those around you, they wouldn't learn if you weren't here. Because only you can do that. Only you can teach that. It doesn't matter what work you have, whether you have kids or a spouse or anything like that. Every single person around you learns something from you, just like you learn something from them. This is a constant growing, learning community. Life in general, that's humanity. We learn from each other. So if you aren't there, people don't get to learn from you. And you also don't get to learn from them. Take care of yourself. It's amazing and beautiful once you feel free enough to just be yourself. Once you understand where you're at and what you're doing. And then you can just dip a little here and dip a little there. You're not searching for the next high. You get to enjoy the moment of just being in this moment, here and now. I highly encourage you. I embrace you with all of my heart. I hope that you are able to start finding balance. And a couple of thoughts for you. When was the last time you were really down? And what was it that started making you feel better? Make a list, refer to it, and start bringing yourself up a little bit more, which means that you will find that balance. And you will be able to just enjoy life more fully and more authentically because you own it now. You see it, and you get to be you in all of the amazingness that you are. We'll see you again soon.